Good day everyone, my name is Bea Pagal together with Annie Cantiga, Arian Mirontos, and Francine Gia Sanchez. So for today, we are going to discuss four topics. Number one is the corporate governance and ethics. Number two is the business ethics. Number three is the organizational ethics program. And lastly is the total quality management system. So, without further ado, sit back and relax and learn. For our objectives, at the end of this chapter, the learner should be able to, number one, define corporate governance and explain why it is used to monitor and control managers' strategic decision. Second, explain why ownership has been largely separated from managerial control in their corporation. Third, explain why good ethics is good business and strategic management. Fourth, discuss specific ways that firms can be good stewards of the natural environment. Fifth, define an agency relationship and management opportunism and describe their strategic implications, and describe how corporate governance fosters ethical strategic decisions and the importance of such behaviors on the part of top-level managers. Corporate social responsibility and tourism, or also known as a CSR, is a concept whereby companies integrate social and environmental concerns in their business operations and also their interaction with their stakeholders on a voluntary basis. There are a number of basic international strategic paper which may serve as a guideline for businesses to integrate CSR measures. So the first is the Global Code of Ethics for Tourism. So what is CSR, or what is Corporate Social Responsibility and Tourism? In the other country, it is not mandatory. However, here in the Philippines, it is. Because CSR, businesses are needed to follow the CSR. Here in the Philippines, what we have a rule, or like a act, which is called CSR Act of 2013, in which businesses are needed to implement social activities to follow the CSR. So, for example, like donating to charities or participating in sustainable programs. So, it is important. Tourism is a big industry. So, corporate social responsibility has a big role in tourism. Later on, we will going to discuss further about that. Next is the CSR measurements include the responsible use of. Number one is the natural and cultural resources. So we all know that in tourism industry, natural resources are one of our foundation para sa isa ka business sa tourism industry. So it's really important na pangalagaan nato ang atong natural and cultural resources. Next is minimization of pollution and waste. So it's really important. One of the na gina-promote sa CSR is ang kanang to maintain cleanliness. So that should be included in the sa isa ka business. One of the example is katong Boracay, katong nasobraan nakahugaw ang ilang beach kay gipasarado siya and gitagaan siya ample time para malimpyuhan ang isa ka lugar. So mao po na ang isa sa gina-promote ni CSR na really important because dili jud nato maiwasan, especially in mga beaches nung naa yung mga guests na magtataka ng ulabay, which is pag mato siya sa dagat is very harmful para sa ato ang sea creatures. So minimize the waste and pollution, maintain cleanliness. Next is conservation of landscapes. So when we say landscape, these are the forest, the oceans, the natural, the natural resources that we have for the landscapes. So like what I have said, in tourism industry, landscape is also like we can tell like a foundation, like tourist spots, like a forest, so we need to conserve our natures. So one of the example is si CSR magudi sa sayang gina-promote or iyang like ang policy nila, like for example katong sa CSR Act 2013. So gina-implement na siya sa every businesses, labi na sa hospitality and tourism industry, gina-implement na siya. It's because para participate sila for some activities. One of the example na to conserve landscape is kanang mag-tree planting para maiwasan ang tutulong mga puno So it's important na kanang mag-participate ang mga business mag-participate sa kanang mga tree planting to restore the nature So next is biodiversity and cultural heritage. So in biodiversity and cultural heritage this refers to the interconnectedness of natural ecosystem and species. So species is money ang biodiversity. These are all the different kinds of living things. And also when we say cultural heritage, these are the tradition,
knowledge, practices of human communities. So one of the example is the rice terrace in the Cordilleras. So because ang rice terrace is naa siya ditong in biodiversity aspect is na dito ang mga native plants, rice varieties and wildlife species, and we also naapa dito ang mga fish and frogs. So up until now gina-conserve gyapon din nila na place, because imagine it was 2,000 years ago since it was built, and up until today na agyapon siya, and which ma-apply po siya sa cultural heritage aspect. So wherein naadara ang Ifugao people's tradition, their culture, agricultural practices, the way they kanang farming techniques nila, then crop rotation, and daghan pa, which is balance ang iyahang pagka-conserve sa both biodiversity and cultural heritage. Next is the fair and responsible treatment of employees. So fair and responsible treatment of employees, this involves creating a workplace environment where all workers are respected, valued, and treated equitably. So kani siya sa isa ka sa isa ka businesses or sa isa ka job, dili jud na maiwasan ang naay mga bias kana. But most important is sa isa ka business, if ever ikaw in the future magpatayo ka og business, CSR isa jud sila ang gina-promote is naa dapat equal ang treatment sa isa ka empleyado. Na ay respect, gina-value ang isa ka employees, dili porket higher level ka manager than regular employee is si manager is kanang magpataas-taas na ingon ana. It's not like that. Dapat naalang gyapon ang respect and gyapon tong pagiging humble para pud ang mga employees is maka-feel na kanang they are satisfied with their job. They are to increase loyalty para iwas job retention. So kani for suppliers, dapat na fair dealings kanang pay suppliers promptly ug kanang tama ang imong ginabayad, and transparency, which is be cleared about expectation, communicate openly about the product quality, the timelines, and the pricing kana siya. And next is when it comes to guest and CSR, our fair treatment of guests involves providing a respectful, inclusive, and sustainable experience that reflects your company's values. So of course dili jud mawala ng respect, safety, and comfort na mahatag nato sa isa ka customer or guest para magbalik-balik sila regardless of their background or preferences. Dapat jud i-treat nato sila og tarong with respect para para mabalik-balik sila sa kanang stay sa isang hotel or to visit your business. Fair use of local products and services. Kani siya sa CSR kay mo siya ginatawag nato na support local, which is kanang gina-prioritize ang local source goods and service in a way na makasupport sa local economy and also to respect community resources. So why not na magpalit na lang ka sa local na product kaysa magpalit pa ka sa laing sa mga laing lugar o which is makadagdag gasto pa, while ang mapalit ka sa support ka sa mga local businesses, maka-benefit pa ka because less cost, and at the same time makasupport pa ka sa tuang local sources or local businesses. Involvement and cooperation with local communities. So mo niya akong na-mention kaganina is mga charity, ang CSR one thing that is good in CSR na gina-implement siya diri sa Pilipinas, mga businesses diri sa Pilipinas, is kanang dili lang siya to follow the guidelines or the rule of CSR, but also maka-help siya sa isa ka business to create a big image ug makapahumot siya sa imong business sa uban pod ng mga investors, sa uban ng mga businesses, and also to the guests as well, because for example like donating in charity, supporting financial contribution kana isa na siya sa factor na advantage na maka-create og big image or maka-create og image sa isa ka business. Ang sustainable development goals na gina-promote to permanente. So its purpose is to end poverty, inequality, protect the planet, and ensure that all people enjoy health, justice, and prosperity. So, munang purpose sa sustainable development goals. So next is the major ethical challenges in hospitality and tourism industry. Hospitality industry faces major challenges compared to the past decades, which including high competition and decreased travel levels in different regions. One of the example of decreased travel levels is katong pandemic. Of course, we are not allowed na mag-travel bisan unsa because of COVID. And also, the hospitality industry has failed to address the ethical issue that concern it appropriately. So it is crucial for the hospitality and tourism industry to embrace ethics compared to other businesses, mainly because of its nature as a service industry. And the human resources is in the hospitality industry faces the most ethical challenge. Why? It's because HR or human resources, they are responsible for hiring, recruiting, training, which it become ethical challenge because possible na mahitabo ang favoritism, bias, or even discrimination. For example, isa ka dito sa kanang sa HR, ikaw nagtrabaho ka dito sa HR. Unya, ang imuhang friend kinakipagsumbaganan sa iyahang kauban sa trabaho. Nya mali sa imong friends. Usa man imong buhaton, di may wasa ng favoritism dira. So nadyo ka magkaroon ka og dilemma when we say ethic man good or ethic, it's between doing what is right and what is wrong. You know, choosing between what is right and what is wrong. Konsensya na lang na nimo. Buhaton nimo ang kung sa mali. So, mo jung they are facing because kanang ilahi ano tanan problema ilang ma-face inside the company. Corporate governance. So corporate governance is a formal system of oversight, accountability, and control for organizational decision and resources. So corporate governance is a kind of system that includes rules, practices, and processes by which a company is directed and controlled. So, kinsa maning sa corporate governance. These are the board members. So they are the one who make decisions. They assess how company use policies and controls to inform businesses' decision, comply with the law, and meet obligation to stakeholders, which they will serve as a guide towards the success of the company. They are also responsible for appointing executive management. So, kung kita mo sa kanang salida, kanang mag-conference sila, or like mag-meeting, kanang mga nakalingkod na palibot sa table, unya magbuto-butuhanay na sila kinsa ang maging next CEO, kinsa ang maging next executive manager, sila na ang board members na nagakuan sa corporate governance. Okay, so history of corporate governance. So in the late 1800s and early 1900s, the same people both owned and controlled corporations. Therefore, corporate governance was less important to discuss. So during at the time daw, sa isa ka business, si owner o si manager is isa lang. Si owner is mo to siya magpag-meet sa mga client, pagipagdili sa mga client, kana. Si controlled operations is mo ni si manager, which is mo na ang nagabuhat sa day-to-day operations. So during at that time is kanang si owner ug si manager is isa lang katao. Siya lang ang nagabuhat og decision bas para sa iyang company. So because therefore dili less important nga kina-discuss si corporate governance because si corporate governance mo nito mga board of directors na nagabuhat og big decisions. So during at that time dili pa na also si corporate governance. So isa lang si owner and si controlled operations or si manager. Siya lang nagabuhat og decision actually sa iyang company. But during in the 20th century, an increasing number of public companies and investors brought about the gradual shift in the separation of ownership and control. So during the 20th century is tungod sa nagdaghan ng mga companies na uso na ang mag-invest, kana daghan og mga investors, so daghan og magtag-iya sa isa ka kumpanya. Kay once na mag-invest ka sa isa ka kumpanya, isa na sad ka sa kanang nagtaga-pangalaga ana. Isa na pud ka sa nag-invest ana, so isa na murag considered as isa na pud ka sa nagtag-iya. Ingon ana siya. So during at that time, ito na nabuo na yung mga na dira si corporate governance, na yung mga board of directors during at that time. So nabuo na po dira si manager, nag-separate na si manager og si owner. Lahi na sila ng tao, lahi na og mga role during the 20th century. So ang trabaho na lang ni owner is katong magipag-deal sa mga client, ingana na. And then si controlled operation pa na mga day-to-day basis na mga buhaton. So many si owners are called principals and who hire agents and the executives to run the business. Alright, so corporate governance and social responsibility. The shareholder model of corporate governance is founded in classic economic precepts, including the maximization of wealth for investors and owners. So, ang focus sa shareholder model, mao ang pagpadako sa kwarta or wealth sa mga shareholders or ginatawag natong investors para naatay mabalik. One of the example of shareholder model is kung ang usa ka negosyo nagputol sa mga like benefits sa isa ka empleyado aron makasave og kwarta, favor ni siya sa kanang sa shareholder kay of course mas dako ang ilang kita, pero ang consequences is ang empleyado ug ang ubang pang mga mga stakeholders mo ang magantos tungod ani, like magbawas og benefit or like magbawas og tao kay para mas makatipid, pero mas ang taong nangabilin or like ang empleyado mas daghan og buhatonon, which is magsuffer jud sila in the end. Next is the stakeholder model of corporate governance. The purpose of business is conceived in a broader fashion. So ang focus ni stakeholder model mas lapad ang like iyang site bahin sa mga like tumong sa isa ka negosyo or like ang goals sa negosyo. Dili lang ang mga shareholder ang gatiman sa isa ka business, but appeal na ang stakeholder na naapektuhan sa isa ka negosyo. Because ang kani magungsi mga stakeholders mo ni sila ang mga empleyado, mga customer, mga suppliers, mga the community, mo ni sila. Next is issues in corporate governance system. A is the boards of directors. Today, board of directors are concerned primarily with monitoring the decision made by managers on behalf of the company, including choosing top executive, assessing their performance, helping to set strategies direction, and ensuring that controls and accountability mechanisms are in place. But the boards of directors are experiencing increased accountability and disclosure mandates, which has led to a greater border independence and outside directors who often brings expertise, competence, and diverse perspective to strategic decisions. So, in the aspect of accountability, boards of directors are now mas responsible na sila for companies' actions, performances, and decisions, which they are held to higher standards and are expected, gina-expect sila na to justify their actions, especially when it comes to financial reporting. And when we say disclosure mandates, there are it refers to a legal or regulatory requirements that compel companies to disclose more information about their operation, finances, and governance practice. So, and then which is due to the increase of accountability and disclosure mandates, it leads to a outside directors who are often bring expertise. When we say outside directors, these are the individuals who are not part of the company's executive team. They are often choose for their expertise, industry knowledge, and ability to offer independent judgment, which it can be resulted to slow decision making because na ang si independent directors magud bring diverse viewpoints on the table, but they have different opinions about how to handle the company's next major project, developing a new software product, like something ana. So mas madugay jud since si board of directors mo jud ni siya nag-make og big decision, but then naadyo ka nang like magapila-pila ilahi og opinion, so madugay siya. It's because mag-debate pa. Next is shareholder and investor. A shareholder is concerned with his or her ownership investment in public traded firms, whereas the investor is more general term for any individual or organization that provides capital for another firm. So when we say shareholder, money sila, for example, if you buy shares in Tesla, you are both a shareholder and an investor. So that is a shareholder. Both, you are a shareholder na ikaw ang isa sa nagtigil sa company once mo palit ka sa ilahang shares or sa ilang product. So investors on the other hand, one of the example, if nagpahiram ka og kwarta sa Tesla by buying their products which serve as a debt instruments, isa na ka or considered na ka as investors, but you are not a shareholder because you do not own a part of the company. Wala nimo siya gipalit imo lang siyang gipahiram, so that is investors. Next is internal control and risk management. Risk management is the process of use to anticipate and shield the organization from unnecessary or overwhelming circumstances while ensuring that leaders is taking the appropriate steps to move the organization and its strategy ahead. So, si kaning risk is they identify the potential risk that it can be like financial risk, operational risk, or etc. na pwedeng mag-result or like makadamage sa isa ka kumpanya. When we say internal control, sila ang control to prevent the risk. Samtang wala pa nabot ang risk, ilahan ng harangan mo na siya. Para for example, fraud kana mga false statement, mga na fraud na siya. Safeguarding the resources of the company, they create rules and policies to ensure that safety and security of the company resources. So mo na siya. And next is the financial misconduct. Financial misconduct is one of the example is the fraud. Fraud means a false financial statement to make more appealing to the investors. Next is the inside trading. Kaning inside trading, may tabo po niya sa, for example, sa isa ka kumpanya. Mara siyang inside job sa isa ka company, kanang pangawat, kanang na ay isa ka empleyado sa finance na nagtrabaho siya dito niya. Ang outsider kay imuhang hikayat niya mangawat mo inganana ang inside trading. kanang kuan money laundering ana means of transfers or transaction that can make money appear legitimate. Kanang murag kuan ba gina kanang ang kwarta nimong kitaon kay mura siya kanang gikan di siya sa illegal ingon ana siya ginapamuka lang nimo na gikan to sa legal na way. Next is executive compensation. Executive compensation, how executive are compensated for their leadership, organizational service, and performance has become a controversial topic. Boarders need to review the evaluation criteria for executive performance. Use of compensation consultants includes a disclosure of executive pay, industry standard for remuneration, the ability to attract top talent, and incentive for superior performance. So, these are the recognition given to the executive members of the company. For example, the Chief Financial Officer, the COO, Chief Operation Officer, kaya mga manager, mga officer, mali sila bilong sa executive compensation when they wherein they will receive bonuses or incentives. Next topic is the business ethics. So, nature of business ethics. Ethics relates to choices and judgment about acceptable standard of conduct that guide the behavior of individuals and groups. So, ang pagsabot sa ethic is mo ni ang isa ka prinsipyo na nagatabang sa isa ka tao sa pagdesisyon kung unsa ang tama ug mali na dapat buhatan. Foundation of business ethics, it is difficult to draw a boundary between legal and ethical issues. All questionable issues needed an organizational mechanism for resolution. One of the example is legal ramification, o ginatawag nato na kanang mga issue na kasagaran ang mga decision ng mga walay klaro or like dili ethical mag-result sa paglalis, or like ginatawag nato na kailangan siya og negosasyon para maresolba, in which mag-lead siya to to kanang litigation. Litigation is kinahanglan siya mag-invest ka og kanang oras, gasto ug trabaho. Mao ang mga companies kinahanglan malikayan nila ang kaning ingon ani na issues. Next is many people have limited business experience suddenly find themselves making important business related decisions. The personal values they learn through non-work socialization from family, religion, and school may not provide specific guidelines for this complex business decision. So meaning ani niya is kung unsa man tong imuhang mga natun-an sa imong family, sa religion, or sa school, dili na siya makatabang kung unsa man ang problema na ginahatag sa inside the business. So it's really important na nakabalo jud ka before ka magtukod sa isa ka business, kabalo jud ka sa mga possible na mga mahitabo, possible na mga issues na imuhang natubangon og ready ka to resolve the problem. Next is, it is important that a shared vision of acceptable behavior develop from organizational perspective to cultivate consistent and reliable relationships with all concerned stakeholders despite differences in personal values. So, it's really important na jud mo pareho jud mo vision sa isa ka. Dapat mo to ganing ang isa ka business is naanjud ang si goal and si objectives para may namoy gina-follow both employees and owners and other members na part sa isa ka business na nag-work ana is namoy isa ka padulungan na naamoy isa ka goal na ginahuman pareho mong pananaw sa to achieve the success of a business. Next is ethical issues in business. Ethical issues is a problem, situation, or opportunity requiring an individual, group, or organizational to choose among several actions that must be evaluated as right or wrong, ethical or unethical. So, si ethical issues is mo nitong, kanang isa ka tao, ang isa ka tao, individual man or mapagroup man siya, ethical issues is of course doing what is right and wrong. So next is abusive or intimidating behavior. It can mean anything that can physically threats, false accusation, annoying co-workers, profanity, insults, yelling, harshening, and ignoring someone to being unreasonable, and the meaning of the words can differ by person. Kani, mga ethical issues sa isa ka business, kanang physical abuse, isa na siya. Lying. So lying relates to distorting the truth. So there are 3 general lies, which is white lie. Meaning sa white lie is kanang intention mo mamakak, but for the reason of avoiding hurting someone's feelings. So that is white lies. While in lying by commission is provides or nagatag ka og incorrect information, which is act as intentionally lying or making up facts to mislead someone. For example, mamakak ka na, wala pa ka nagkaon sa 7-Eleven pero never pa ka nagkaon sa 7-Eleven pero nagkaon di ka dito pa. Ingon ana siya like intentionally na pagpamakak. Then lying by omission leaves out important or information to mislead or deceive others. So for example is kanang wala nimong giingon ang imuhang mali na nabuhat nimo sa work because dili ka gusto na mapiktuhan siya. Even if unsa na siya ka-importante nimo na pagkamali, wala jud mo siya giingon na makaka siya because dili ka gusto na mapiktuhan siya. That's it. Conflict of interest. It exists when an individual must choose whether to advance his or her own interests. So kani siya na ethical issue is muna siya na nagduwa-duwa ka kung unahon ba nimo ang imuhang sarili, unahon ba nimo imuhang kung unsa tong maka-advantage sa imuhang kaysa sa uban. Ingon na ang conflict of interest. Next is fraud. Fraud is a false communication that deceives, manipulates, or conceals facts in order to create a false impression by which others are damaged or denied a benefit. One of the example of fraud is kanang credit card fraud. For example, sa isa ka business, nag-work ka sa isa ka business na nagakuha og credit card or debit card sa isa ka sa mga customers. So, ikaw as an empleyado, pagkuha nimo sa card sa imong customer, gigamit nimo siya for personal use, which is well considered as fraud. Gigamit nimo siya, gipalit-palit nimo siya mga butang-butang bisag dili imuha. Muna ang fraud. Next is discrimination. Discrimination remains a significant ethical issue in business despite nearly 40 years of legislation of outlaw it. Discrimination, mo siya ang unfair or unequal treatment of individuals or groups based on their characters, such as pareho ning affirmative action programs that include traditionally been discriminate against the basis of race, gender, and other characteristics. Mo siya ang discrimination na isa siya sa ethical issues in business. So next is technology and the numerous advances made on the internet and other forms of electronic communications. So kaning technology is a very common na ginagamit sa isa ka business, especially na kanang kanang ginagamit siya to communicate. But why is it considered as one of the ethical issue in business? Because in technology, it is used to communicate inside the inside the business. But then there are employees jud na nagigamit jud o kanang nagagamit o or nagatransact using the technology or the company for personal use. Like naga-communicate like outside the business. So that is why it become ethical issues. It's because some employees is ginagamit siya for outside transaction or like for personal use. So that's why. Next is understand the ethical decision-making process. A. Individual factors. Number one is moral philosophies. These are principles or rules that individuals apply in deciding what is right and wrong. So, karon siya, ano yung kanang mga principles or rules na ginasunod sa matag usa kung saan dapat na buhaton sa the difference between tama and balik nimo na buhaton. Number two is consequentialism is a class of moral philosophy that considered a decision right or acceptable if accomplishes the desired results as pleasure, knowledge, career growth, the realization of self-interest or utility. So kani siya na factors is ginabuhat niya kung unsa ang tama o acceptable. Magiging tama lang na siya acceptable if that decision na imong ginapili is mag-lead to pleasure, knowledge, career growth, and the realization of interest and utility. So, ano siya. On the other hand is the egoist. The difference between the consequentialism and egoist is the egoist will choose the alternative the most benefits his or her self-interest. So, kani siya is no matter what, mali man na siya or tama, basta ka imong sarili, imong unahon. Ingon ana siya. Next is utilitarianism. Utilitarianism is another consequentialist philosophy that is concerned with consequences, but utilitarian seek the greatest good for the greatest number of people. So kani siya, di considered the consequences. Muset siya og decision, mukumit siya sa isa ka decision, buhat una-unaon po niya ang consequences. Mas ginapili niya tong mas maka-benefit ang daghang tao compare sa mong sarili. Nun ana siya. Even if mas tama tong pilion nimo tong mas tama tong imong decision para sa imong sarili, but then ang second decision or other choice nimo is mapiktuhan ang ubang tao. So kaning utilitarianism mas pilion niya tong mas maka-benefit tong daghang tao. The next is the ethical formalism. Ethical formalism is a class of formal philosophies that focus on the rights of individuals and the intention associated with particular behavior rather than its consequences. Okay, so kani si ethical formalism is nagabase jud siya sa kung unsa ang tama. Meaning naga-follow sila sa isa ka rules and regulations. For example is sa isa ka school. Mingon taog sa assumption is bawal man jud ang dili mag-uniform kung dili wash day. Right? So dapat mo follow ana na rules kay gi-implement man na siya na rules. So mali jud na buhaton nimo na wala ka nag-uniform during like Monday to Tuesday and Thursday wala ka nag-uniform. So mali siya kay wala ka nag-follow sa isa ka rules, which is mag-face din ka og consequences kana no matter what. Sa panakalalong basta kay naay rules nang i-implement dapat jud siya sundon. Ingon na. Lastly is the justice theory. It is a class of formal philosophy that relates to evaluations of fairness or the disposition to deal with perceived injustice of others. So mo ni siya naga-scout or naga-base ni siya sa pagkatarong o patas na treatment sa isa ka tao. So which there are three types of justice. Number one is the distributive justice. Mo ni siya ang meaning ani niya is concerned with a fair distribution of resources, wealth, and opportunities. One of the example is ina-ensure nimo that ang employees are fairly paid based on their work and contribution without discrimination. Ingon ana ang distributive justice. Second is procedural justice, which focus on the fairness of the processes and method used to make decision. One of the example is using transparent, like nagasunod jud sa isa ka proseso, like unbiased hiring practices in the company. No, namon jud ingon ana na sa isa ka business is kanang ganing backer ingon ana. So procedural justice ma-apply na siya na kanang mag-go through jud sa isa ka process. Moagi sa jud ka from the bottom bago ka mabot sa top, ingon ana siya. And next is the interactional justice. So in interactional justice is mo ni siya ang nagaisgot og patas o maayong pagtrato, fair treatment regardless kung sa imong position sa isa ka business. So for example kanang si dili porkat na kanang manager ka, like I mentioned earlier, dili porkat na manager ka is na nakikarapatan mo disrespect sa isa ka employee. Singgit ito imo siyang pakulawan, it's not like that. So regardless sa imong position dapat jud namo respect sa isa't isa. So that is interactional justice. Moral development from Kohlberg. These stages include the following: A. Punishment obedience; B. Individual instrumental purpose and exchange; mutual interpersonal expectation, relationships and conformity; social justice and conscience maintenance; prior rights, social contract or utility. Last is universal ethical principle. Well, according to the Kohlberg's theory, he suggested that people may change their moral beliefs and behavior as they gain education and experience in resolving conflicts, which help accelerate their progress along the moral development continuum. So habang nagadugay daw ka na naga-encounter ka og mga problem or conflicts, is nagadugay naga-grow imuhang nagailis imuhang behavior and imuhang belief tungod sa katong mga experiences na imuhang or situations na imuhang na-experience. The second factor in understand the ethical decision-making process is organizational relationships. Number one is organizational or corporate culture can be defined as set of values, beliefs, goals, norms, and rituals shared by members or employees of an organization. So kani siya is muna siya isa ka set na beliefs ba or rules na gina-implement na dapat jud siya sundon sa mga employees or members and an organization. And next is the significant others. Significant others mao ang mga tao sulod sa organization na naga-impluwensya sa proseso sa when it comes to ethical decision making. For example, kung ang isa ka owner matinud-anon og like firm og patas, kini maka-impluwensya siya sa mga empleyado sa pagbuhat usab og mga ethical na mga decision. So that is significant others, which includes the superior, peers, and subordinates in the organization who influence the ethical decision making process. Like maka magapakita og kanang ginabuhat jud nimong tama to influence others. Then opportunity, it is a set of conditions that limit barriers or provides rewards. So opportunity mo ni ang mga set ng mga kondisyon nga makahatag og premyo sa isa ka tawo o empleyado. Like it's more on like recognizing you recognize their hard work, yun na, and you give them rewards, which is really important to increase job satisfaction for our employees, and also to increase loyalty and productivity.
Mabuhay ug madayaw, this is Gia and I am here to tackle about organizational ethics program. The goal of an ethics program is to create a culture of integrity and accountability, helping the organization avoid legal issues and foster trust with stakeholders. The need for organizational ethics program. We notice some people will always do things on their own self-interest, and pressure to succeed can create opportunities that reward unethical behavior. There are two basic approaches to control an ethics program. We have here a compliance orientation and a values orientation. A compliance orientation creates a structured environment in which employees are expected to follow legal organizational standards, and they are made aware of the specific conduct required from them as well as the penalties for failing meet those expectations. In values orientation, it creates a culture where employees are encouraged to make decisions based on shared ethical principles rather than just a set of rules. While penalties still exist for behavior that violates these values, the focus is on fostering a deeper sense of commitment to principles such as respect and responsibilities. The similarities and differences between these two. In the field of focus, in compliant orientation, They focus on specific rules and law and regulations, while in values orientation, they value more the core values and ethical principles. So, codes of conduct. Most companies begins the process of establishing organizational compliance programs by developing codes of conduct. It is also called codes of ethics, which are formal statements that describes what an organization expects of its employees. Codes of conduct has to reflect the board directors and senior management of desire for ethical climate. Code values of corporate codes of conduct. Corporate code of ethics often have 5 to 7 core values that are suggested as desirable: trustworthiness, respect, responsibilities, fairness, caring, and citizenship. Also, Code of Conduct is a formal document that outlines the principles, values, and expected behaviors that employees must adhere within an organization. It serves as a guide for how employees should conduct themselves in various situations, promoting a culture of ethics, integrity, and responsibility. It is a key tool for guiding employee behavior and ensuring that an organization operates ethically, legally, and in alignment with its values. It is a vital component of an organization's broader and ethics and compliance program. Ethics officer. Organizational ethics must also have oversight by a high-ranking person in the organization, known as ethics officer, known to respect legal. Furthermore, ethics officer is a designated individual within an organization responsible for promoting ethical behavior and ensuring compliance with the company's ethical standards, codes of conduct, and legal requirements. The role involves overseeing the organization ethics programs, providing guidance on ethical issues, and addressing potential barriers. The role involves overseeing the organization ethics programs, providing guidance on ethical issues, and addressing potential violations. Ethics officer helps to maintain organization integrity, manage risk, and create culture where employees are encouraged to act ethically and responsibly. There is an association that includes all the ethics and compliance officer. It is called the Ethics and Compliance Officer Association, or ECOA. It is an organization for those who are front lines of managing ethics program. Ethics training and communication. The benefits for employees of ethics training and communication include making employees aware of available resources, support systems, and people who can be of assistance in ethical and legal matters. Also, it empowering employees to ask tough questions and make ethical decisions. The effectiveness of ethics training. The effectiveness of this training is dependent on the understanding of employees as to why it is conducted, how it fits into the organization, and their own role in implementing it. Managers of all departments must be involved. Ethics training should be related to actual situation that employees may experience. The goal ethics training is to ensure that employee recognize when a situation requires ethical decision making, understanding the values and culture of the organization, and is able to evaluate the impact of ethical decision on the company. Establishing systems to monitor and enforce ethical standards. Ethics programs use a variety of resources to monitor ethical conduct. First, it can be measured through audit, survey, reporting systems, and investigation. Second, Ethics Assistance Line or Ethical Helpline also offers assistance with ethical concerns and assist with the interpretation of company policy and specific work-related issues. Also, it should be easily accessible and serve as safety net. Third, observation and feedback can be used to determine the ethical performance of a person. Whistleblowing is a consequence of a company's missing ethical programs or its inability to respond to ethical concerns. Continuous improvement of the ethics program. Implementation of ethics program means the design of activities to achieve organizational objectives using available resources and given existing constraints. The structure of decision-making process centralized versus decentralized. Implementation organizational ethics program. The role of leadership. Leadership influences the acceptance and adherence to organizational norms and values. There are two leadership, transformational and transactional. In the field of transformational leadership, it builds an ethical culture by addressing employees' needs and aspirations. Transactional leadership is focusing on achieving specific ethical performance through negotiated expectation with less emphasis on broader ethical concerns. Leader influence corporate culture. There are 5 power bases from which one person may influence another. Reward power. This type of power is based on the ability to provide rewards to others for desired behavior or outcomes. Rewards can take many forms, including promotions, raises, recognition, or tangible incentives. A person with reward power influences others by offering these rewards as motivation for certain actions or behavior. Coercive power. It relies on the ability to punish or threaten negative consequences for not complying with requests or expectation. This could involve reprimands, demotion, termination, or the other disciplinary action. Coercive power can lead to compliance out of fear of punishment. Legitimate power comes from person's formal position within an organization. It is the authority that is granted by the organization structure which legitimizes the person's abilities to give orders, make decisions, or direct others. Expert power is derived from a person's expertise, knowledge, skills, or experience in a specific area. Others follow and respect this individual's guidance because they recognize their expertise and believe in their judgment. Lastly, referent power comes from the personal qualities of an individual, such as their charisma, likability, or ability to build strong relationships. People are influenced by someone with a referent power because they admire or identify them. It's often rooted in the trust and respect the person commands from others. Each of these power bases can be used alone or in a combination, and they all affect the dynamics of influence in different ways. That's all.
Mabuhay ug madayaw. I am Arian Mirontos. So today I'm going to discuss with you about the TQM or Total Quality Management.
Or total quality management. It means that involving the entire department of the company, that is total quality, is achieving customer satisfaction all the time. Management is maintaining a high level quality in every sector. So, ang TQM is a management approach to long-term success through customer satisfaction. In a TQM effort, all members of an organization participate in improving processes, products, services, and the culture in which they work. TQM aspects and implementation process in the hospitality and tourism industry. The aim of this chapter is to review critical service factors or CSF's process for TQM implementation and its implications. TQM views an organization as a collection of processes. It maintains that organization must strive to continuously improve this process by incorporating the knowledge and experience of workers. The simple objectives of TQM is to do the right things right the first time, every time. The CSFs of TQM are identified as follows: commitment by the top management at all levels and supports, meeting customers' expectations, growing demands, customer focus, improvement of teams development, changing the ideology of product-centered culture of service system to customer-centered culture, spreading the quality message through effective education and training programs, teamwork and involvement, benchmarking and employee involvement, clear mission, employee involvement and empowerment, recognition and award, training and development. The principles of TQM or total quality management is first is customer focus. Customer is the king. Confirming the customer's needs and expectation is the essence for success in today's business organization that understand what customers really want and provide a product or a service to meet this requires to gain competitive advantage and profit. So, customer focus use a customer feedback system to identify areas for improvement, like for example online surveys, social media, customer reviews. So they will do online survey in social media to know that if there is something that will make their business more improved or something na kailangan jud nga mas i-improve pa ang ilang business para mas munon pa. Second is continuous improvement. The aim of continuous improvement is setting levels of performance that are significantly higher than current levels, so the organization can attain long-term survival and development. It requires eliminating errors, removing slacks, and reducing variation. So this continuous improvement is nagahawa sila og laing like product to make something new para mas munon pa jud ang ilang product o ma-improve pa from long term. Is get things right first time. TQM undertakes a change from reactive to proactive. It requires that everyone must try to get things right the first time to reduce inspection and waste. This spirit called zero defects. It requires that the process should be continually reviewed and improved. It also implies wider communication, staff discussion, and problem solving. So, this getting things right the first time is ensuring that everyone involved to take responsibility, getting the job perfectly right, and understand the needs of the customer's communication well. So, labi na if naay inspection sa ilang station, kailangan dyan nila i-perfect ang ilang work para mas ma-improve. It is an approach that aims to satisfy customer by delivering or producing the right product at the right time and the right place without waste. GIT or just in time will not work well without TQM in operation. GIT technique improves throughout speed through improving overall productivity, eliminating the waiting line of works and supervisor, and identifying their responsibility, hence reducing the stock of inventory between stages and cutting down work in progress. So just in time is like, for example, you should deliver the product right in time or immediately before shipment or right process. And also pag magsulod kag trabaho, you just work in time, like sa tama jud na oras nga ginasudlan jud sa work nimo. Fifth is competitive benchmarking. The concept of benchmarking is defined by the Society of Management of Canada as a systematic and continuous measurement process, a process continuously comparing and measuring an organization's business process against business leaders anywhere in the world to gain information which will help the organization to take action to improve its performance by Parler and Harrison in 1995. So this competitive benchmarking is comparing your business from your competitors, or thinking is that what people really like or hilig sa mga tao kay para mas mo-improve pa nimo imong business. So kumbaga, ang competitive benchmarking like mo na siya ang naga tan-aw sa laing company kung unsay naa sa ilaha nga wala sa imuha, o unsay wala sa imuha og naa sa laha na ma-improve pa nimo sa imong business para mas mailhan og mas daghan og tao nga manon sa imuha. 6 is employee involvement. The emphasis throughout all stages of TQM implementation shall be the involvement of all employees in decision-making, problem-solving, and financial success of the firm. TQM encourages all levels of people to become more closely related to the organization's goals and objectives. The basic concept is that everyone is responsible for producing quality goods and services, meeting customer requirements, and achieving a company-wide TQM organization. So, which means that they gives employees more control over how they perform their jobs and makes them feel like valued members of their companies. Management receptiveness can be increased by having a system to share ideas with the upper management so that the organization can be more successful.
Teamwork. Teamwork in the workplace is when employees collaborate to achieve common goal. It's an essential part of workplace success and can lead to many benefits. Effective teamwork starts with clear, frequent communication. Training and education. So training and education in the workplace can help employees improve their performance, increase productivity, and create a better work environment. It also helps employees overcome and become more effective at their jobs and overcome performance gaps. And also, it can improve job satisfaction, engagement, and retention. Employees who feel supported by the organization are more engaged, loyal, and they work harder. Communication. Good communication is a great motivator. It avoids misunderstanding and reduces the cost of quality by avoiding mistakes. This would enable team members to know how to handle conflict when it arises. So communication is the means by which employees exchange information and ideas. Communicating effectively is a critical aspect of getting any job done, whether it occurs in person or virtually, and is part of the internal communication efforts within an organization. Recognition and awards. Recognition is the process whereby management shows acknowledgement of employees' understanding performance. Recognition and rewards are both effective motivators. So this system, which the achievements and actions of employees are recognized and rewarded within a company. Rewards and recognition help employees feel appreciated for their contribution and connect their personal values to the values of the organization. Feedback. So this ensures that the team members know and understand the role they are playing. So feedback is the link in fostering good communication, should frequently provided and evaluated. A vital tool for improving performance and development. It can be positive, constructive, or negative, and intended to help employees enhance their performance and improve their work. Philosophy of TQM. Good communication is a great motivator. It avoids misunderstanding and reduces the cost of quality by avoiding mistakes. This would enable team members to know how to handle conflict when it arises. So, philosophy of TQM. The methodology of total quality management is intended to achieve business excellence. Hospitality management is no exception. Striving to improve guest satisfaction and ensure repeat patronage, the process also means aligning the goals of the organization at all levels vertically, senior management, middle management, and operational management. The number of years it changed radically, and efficiency. There are four major groups service offered. First, the accommodation. Second, food and beverage services. Third, leisure service. And lastly, the business services. They also had three major operational processes: front office operations, room maintenance and housekeeping operation, third, sales and marketing operations. So the factors of TQM implementation. 1. Rule of the quality department. 2. Top management leadership. 3. Rule of product and service design. 4th, training. 5. Quality management of the suppliers. 6. Quality data and reporting process management. 7. Relations among employees. So to make TQM movement success, a new initiative has to be generated across the globe and following initiative needs to be taken. Identify the most vital areas of service. Describe them in objective terms. Fix up responsibility, accountability that can provide leadership and learning. It must be top management driven and focused on maximizing efficiency and effectiveness through improving system and process as well as aligning business objectives and customer requirements. Commit to a concept of management by quality first rather than a specific ideology. With such initiatives, commitments, and appropriate processes, TQM can be successfully applied to this industry to achieve better results. Identify those characteristics that provide an opportunity to enhance performance and raise the level of quality. Develop a good quality improvement program that specifies actions to be taken at various levels, organization, teams, and individuals. Make use of CSFs to benchmark themselves, identify gaps, link them with measuring performance and allocating resources for improvement.